Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. TCG Buzz starts now.
Oh no. What? There we go. I had to find the right button I was on because my thing's totally messed up because I'm sitting in Dalton's chair today. What's up, guys? It's your boy. I should not do that. It's Jacob from TCG Buzz, and things are a little different today. It's the return of the headphones. I'm wearing headphones for the first time in, oh geez, how long has it been since we did episodes with headphones on? At least 2 years? It's been a long time. Shout out to you guys who remember the headphone era of TCG Buzz. So today I'm not joined by Dalton. It's just your boy Jacob. And he's being joined by the DBR.
Hello and welcome, present and future aces. I'm the DBR. I don't get a cool graphic, so hello.
I could have made one for you, but I'm way too lazy for that.
Understandable.
So first thing I'd like to say is this setup is very weird. We jerry-rigged it. It's crazy ghetto solution, so technical difficulties may happen as we go along. I apologize for that in advance because it probably will happen.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the people out there why you forced me to go through and change up my entire setup to allow you to join me via audio.
Okay. So today we were going to talk about alternate Buddyfight formats and how BUSHIROAD kind of does them very, very poorly because alternate formats can help a card game. We see it with Magic the Gathering, we see it with Yu-Gi-Oh, we see it with all kinds of other things. And then BUSHIROAD is just kind of doing that crab meme in the corner.
The crab meme? I'm sorry.
With the crab hands and the screeching.
Oh. Well, thank you for ruining the stream already.
I have that effect.
I am taking a moment to share this episode so more people can cringe.
Share the love and share the cringe.
And if any of you out there want to, you should totally share it too. All right. So yeah, I think that is a discussion I'd like to have, and you and I think, are probably the perfect people to do this because more than anyone in the entire Buddyfight community, we have way too much experience with alternate formats.
Yeah, I don't have a life, so I just make them.
Oh, so you're part of that club too?
Yeah.
I've come up with at least half a dozen different formats over the years, and I know you have too. In fact, we've played two alternate formats together last regional season.
Yes, we did. We did your cube and tag team, and then both of them at the same time.
Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, I think let's start with that. What has BUSHIROAD done for alternate formats? Because alternate formats are amazing. You mentioned Magic the Gathering already, and that's probably the best example. And I mean, alternate formats have gotten so popular that oftentimes they overshadow actual formats. I play far more Commander than I do any actual standard or modern or vintage or anything like that.
Yes. So as for the formats BUSHIROAD has done, they've done tag team very poorly. And even then, it's anime only.
And that's it?
Well,
Well,
they also have their Battle Royale thing, which they also did very poorly.
Which I would like to discuss, and that's it. I mean, we don't even have drafting for Buddyfight anymore. They used to do official pre-release drafts back in the day, and they don't even do that anymore. So I think it's not just the Buddyfight problem. That's the first thing I want to say is like this is a BUSHIROAD as a whole problem.
Oh yeah, Vanguard has the problem too.
All of their games. And I think the best example isn't even Vanguard. You know what it is? It's Dragoborn. Because Dragoborn would have actually been really good for drafting, like from the get-go, out of the gates. It was a really fun drafting experience, and they were trying to target the Magic the Gathering crowd, and it would have been much easier if they had pushed it as a draft-first game, much like Keyforge does a lot of, just as an example. And they didn't have official drafting rules till set 5.
What?
They did not really...
Set
5, which was, I think, the last or second to last set. So they did. By the point they actually came out with them, the game was dead.
Yeah, that's painful.
It really is, and I'm probably one of the 12 people out there who actually has done a draft for Dragoborn, and it was really fun.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not good at drafting, but I like drafting. I mean, it's always, just, okay, let's see what I can cobble together, and if anything interesting comes of it. Like, even if you lose, you at least get to see interesting things with it.
Yeah. Now, I'll get more into this when we get to talking about the cube specifically, but Buddyfight is not a great game for drafting, so I understand them not pushing it, even for, pre-release things anymore, but...
Yeah.
They never gave us an alternative. And I think about that every time I go to regionals and they do free fight. And they have free fight promos that you can earn. And no one cares. Unless it's one you specifically need for your deck, no one plays them. Even though it's a lot of fun to, get that excuse to more casually have fun and play other players. And I think, how much better free fights would go if they were a set format.
Very much so.
There's only so much standard Buddyfight you can play. I love Buddyfight, but sometimes it gets boring, and messing around with the rules can be incredibly fun. And BUSHIROAD ignores that, and I'd love to say I know why they do it, but I don't. I can understand not wanting to put money into a new format, but... Yeah,
that's understandable.
Do something. Even if it's as simple as giving us more casual rule sets. We did have their free-for-all format, which they basically just threw out rules for and said, here you go. And...
So... I have my own thoughts about that free-for-all format. Let's finish.
Let's start with this. Have you played it?
Yes.
Okay, I have too. And I think I will have a totally different summary of it than you will.
Okay.
Okay. So, I really like it as a format.
All right.
Your turn.
Personally, I do not like it much as a format because even though, yes, you are dealing with more people and it does force you to think about the game differently, just like, how I would expect from an alternate format, it doesn't compensate for the format like it should, because, in every format, you're going to get drawbacks to the game or different drawbacks, but the format should help compensate for that in some way.
Yes, and I will be the first to say that it doesn't, but I still had fun with it. Particularly what I think it comes down to is what you play drastically determines if you're going to have fun or not. The decks that do well and are fun to play in that format are decks with a lot of burn abilities or anti-destruction. We actually recorded a match of it that will be going out within the next couple of days, depending on when Dalton gets to editing it. And you'll see in that the politics got really fun. I of course play Shadow Shades.
I mean, hey, Shadow Shades would work really well in that format, not gonna lie.
What I like is it incentivizes you to play things other than generic aggro. I play Shadow Shades, which is a control burn deck. You see a lot of mill decks. You see some really interesting stuff that doesn't get enough of a chance to shine in standard buddy fight.
Right.
Now let's talk about the things that suck about it.
Oh boy, howdy, the things that are bad about it. Where should we start?
I think actually, I know I just said the bad things, but before that, I do have one really, really positive thing to say about it.
Go ahead.
It's really easy to learn. It's a very simple format, which generally I prefer simpler formats, something you can teach to someone, in the span of one game.
Yeah.
But that comes with its drawbacks in this case, particularly because it can be unclear how things work.
Yeah.
Bushiroad tried to keep it with the simplest rule set they can. All effects that target your opponent target all opponents, right? That's cool, right. But there are some times where, even in the, I'd say 5 or so games of it I've played, we had to make our own decisions off of it because there were problems.
That is completely understandable. So, I mean, it's kind of like the anime only tag rules. They're bad.
The tag rules are interesting, but also not. The anime tag rules.
It's literally a one-on-one buddy fight, but you brought a friend with you.
Exactly. There's no incentive to play it. At least the free-for-all, you get some politics in there. Hey, don't attack me. You should attack him. He's got a big old boy on the board, and he's gonna kill one of us next turn. So he's the bigger threat. You don't get that in the 2-player or in the tag team.
I mean, so like when we had our 3-man tag team with you, which I firmly believe Springfest should adopt. Don't at me. But so one thing that we established off the bat is, hey, we get to distribute effects and resources between one another, and you get that same advantage. Which, even though you guys didn't do it very well, because
don't blame me. My opponents were stupid, and so were my teammates, and it's not my fault. # Jacob's the best player.
Oh no, but even though the resources weren't well distributed on your end, it wasn't the fault of the format. Like, well, this is dumb. It's just I brought 2 friends with me instead of 1. It was honestly a lack of teamwork.
I feel like I should have brought some props with me to play with on screen, because it's kind of weird just staring at me the entire time. Yeah, you're right. The biggest thing you need, I think there are 3 things you need with an alternate format, in my opinion. 1, you need something that's relatively simple to learn. You don't want to have to dedicate your entire life to learning how to play a new format. 2, you need it to be clear on its rules and how it works. And 3, you need it to actually give you a reason to play it.
One more thing I'd like to add to that.
Oh, he's got a number 4.
you should be thinking about the game differently. If you're not, if you can just do what you would do in a simple one-on-one buddy fight, it is not a good alternate format. You should be forced to play differently.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you can just take your standard aggro Garga deck that you've been playing, at regionals and just use it in the new format and change nothing, there's no point to playing that new format.
Exactly.
And Buddyfight's a game that needs that with how it ends up 9 times out of 10 dominated by really aggressive decks, giving other decks some time in the sun's nice. But sometimes it's also not just about saying screw you to aggro decks. Sometimes it's just about taking the game and looking at it completely differently.
Right. I mean, let's say in an ideal world, we got the distribute resources version of Tag where you can bring your friends. It's a 3-on-3 fight, distributing resources. The combos would be its own meta. For example, let's say you have someone with Blood Dragon Sect and Raging Spirits. That's it. Because of how the magnet effect works, you can only attack the one, they can't attack, which forces them to approach the problem differently, which you can't get from normal buddy fight.
So one thing I'd like to look at is we can, everyone who's ever thought about alternate formats is going to find one that they created that they're going to love and they're going to push for, right?
Right.
Let's look at realistic case scenario. What BUSHIROAD could do that would be simple and easy for them to incorporate as like side events. I think I've got 2 answers. One is stick with the free-for-all format that they have already. It's going to need a couple ruling clarifications and maybe even a ban list, because Black Dragons are a little stupid,
little OP,
as are some burn decks. But even without that step, you're still creating a new meta, and I think players could have a lot of fun with that. The other one, and this would be ridiculously easy for them to do, and this is for something I see most often in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is trial deck formats, where you're just given a random trial deck, and you have to play that against other random trial decks.
That would also be really cool.
Yeah, and neither of those would take drastic actions from BUSHIROAD in order to implement.
Yeah.
And, knowing how BUSHIROAD works, they like to take the easy route.
They love to take a nice, easy way out. But let's assume this is an ideal world. What format do you like? Absolutely, you get hired by Bushy. They say, okay, if you can make this work, we'll pay you a bunch of money. You have a week to work to make it and work out the kinks. What would you do?
Okay, you threw a really hard question there, because my answer, I don't know if it even works for your question, is not necessarily a new format, but I'd very much like to see BUSHIROAD at some point release a draft format set. So a set specifically designed for drafting, much like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a couple of battle packs, and then Magic has Battle Bond. I'd love to see BUSHIROAD do something like that. That would be number 1 on my list. Give us a new set specifically designed for drafting.
Okay. Well, I can see that working pretty well, because this one's a legend draft, and so you can get a bunch of Legend World stuff that you might want or need by participating in one at your locals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they wouldn't have to put in hardly any effort for that.
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, maybe they could either take it on the route of using new cards specifically designed for it, or just reprinting cards that people would want anyways.
Yeah, exactly. That works really well.
Yeah. What about you? What would it be your tag team resource sharing format?
It would actually not.
Oh.
I mean, as much as I like it and really want it to be like Bushy, please take it.
Mm-hmm.
It is not what I would do with the scenario I propose. I would actually go with closer to an archenemy format, which we have also made. It's been through quite a few iterations, but
you and I have both done all archenemy formats, and ooh.
And here's why I think Bushy could make it. So they are, at the end of the day, a company. They want to make money, right?
That is goal number one, no matter what people think.
Okay. So a big part of Buddyfight's brand is their anime.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it was.
Well, it was, but...
Rip.
So why not... Well, I think we can agree that the anime aesthetic is still a big part of what it is.
Yeah.
So what you do is you release archenemy boxes. Like, they're essentially a trial deck, but instead of having a normal deck of Buddyfight cards, it has archenemy cards built for like the villain deck of the season, or whatever deck they feel like releasing one for.
Honestly, any of the villain decks already released in Buddyfight would work really well. I mean,
right?
Like, Hagakugan Yami Ghetto deck, where they're like, yeah, you have to destroy my dude 45 times, or
exactly.
Or Ozzy. Ozzy's fun. Nuke your board every turn.
Right. Fun options like that would really work. And, archenemy has been through quite a few iterations over on Ace of Spades, more than I care to admit, but, it can be made to work.
I've experimented with it myself, with my own variants to it, and it is fun. Balancing is a little hard, so the best way to do it would probably be to do it in a contained way, much like the actual archenemy sets released for Magic. I think they've done 2 different ones now, where your decks for the other players are already pre-constructed in it as well, and you're designed to just keep it as is, because balance is really important for that format. Ideally, you want the villain and the heroes to each have roughly the same chances of winning.
Yep.
Or else, why would you play it? That's not fun.
Yeah. It's very much a balancing act.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to talk about is, weirdly enough, it's the most common way a alternate format is created, but it's probably the one that's least exciting, and that's by creating a format that's simply based off of a restrictive card pool. So you're not changing the game fundamentally, but you're changing it based off of what you can play. Examples would be like Pauper in Magic the Gathering. A format that says, hey, you can only use select cards. There is some potential there for Buddyfight, particularly with a legacy format. People are, as the years go on, people complain more and more about modern Buddyfight and how it used to be better. And there are tons of people who want to go back and say, oh, I just want to play a deck where in a format where you can only play Season 1 cards or something along those lines.
Yeah, in a lot of online circles I've been in, including a couple Discord servers, people are making a what I'm going to call a pre-ace archetype restriction. So you can play any archetype you want that was released before ace.
So I actually have a format I created that I've been playtesting in secret, but I guess I'll spill the beans now. Great time. I don't have a great name for it, but the idea here being you're only allowed to play cards whose attributes are attributes that existed in the first season of Buddyfight. That way you're able to play your classic OG Season 1 deck, but with some additions of their more modern cards, but without having to be dominated by new decks. And there are some generic cards that, more generic staple cards from modern day that actually will get through.
But wouldn't Fifth Omnis kind of dominate that format?
They might, but there are other good decks. I mean, consider Black Dragons existed in the first season.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. But also you could do something like playing Thunder Knights. Thunder Knights are a deck that has had tons of great legacy support, even though they don't do anything crazy. But it's an interesting format. But that's part of the fun. Sometimes, and I'm sure you've got some stories too, you come up with an idea for a format, and it turns out in the end to be a disaster. Right? It happens.
Hello, welcome to Thunderdome. May I take your order?
But that's part of the fun of messing around with alternate formats, right?
Absolutely.
And you know what? Sometimes the most fun formats are those formats that are just insanely messed up.
Yeah, because, you're trying to be as messed up, if not more, than your opponent while winning.
Yeah.
I mean, Thunderdome. Thunderdome is such a perfect example of
what is Thunderdome for the people at home?
So, basically, you take Buddyfight's Battle Royale format, but everyone uses 4 decks at the same time.
Okay.
And all monsters gain the attributes of monsters in your buddy zone.
Okay.
It is absolute chaos.
Here's a fun one. Dual flag format. So the idea behind this format is you can play any world that is on your buddy. So your buddy monster decides what you play. Obviously, there are some cards you kind of have to restrict with that, but the idea ideally would be to only allow single or dual world ones. But say you have a what's a good example of a dual world monster? You have Hanzo, who's a Dragon World Katana world monster. Then you can play any cards from those two worlds.
That would be cool. I mean, because, I'd love to Sakura Fubuki
in Dragon World. Oof.
In Dragon World.
That's actually a common theme I've seen a lot with formats people have been tossing around, is making the buddy or the buddy zone or buddy gift matter more. And that makes sense because it's something that BUSHIROAD has been lacking in forever. I mean, pretty much since the beginning of the game. We want more buddy skills or enhancements to the buddy zone or stuff like that. And they're giving us stuff like that a little bit. Legend Dragons are cool, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But more would be good.
Yeah, I mean, like, in the Buddy Quest revamp that is gonna happen sometime Saturday. I don't know if it'll be posted then or not. But, we decided to incorporate skills from kind of like speed duels, but it's based on what your buddy is.
Right. And that is a ton of fun. It's obviously not something you could make into like a real big format because you'd have to give everything your own skills, you know. But
Right.
for something like that, that's totally sounds like a fun time.
Absolutely.
There's so many different ideas and concepts. And you know what? I'll be honest. Sometimes I see people throw out their idea for a format, and I go, that is a terrible idea. But even that's still fun, you know?
Yeah.
And part of it is alternate formats are at their best when they're a community effort. There's a reason why EDH/Commander is the biggest alternate format for Magic. And it's because the people who cared about it were a larger group who were able to refine the format and work on it. They're actually, if you don't know, mostly Magic judges who would play that as their format of choice, you know, on their off time. And that allowed the format, having that larger group and community who were passionate about it, to not fizzle out in a year. Like, oh my gosh, so many different Magic formats. Anyone remember Frontier? Brawl?
No.
Oathbreaker's pretty cool. That's a recent one. It's probably not going to last all that long, though. It's just basically modified Commander.
Oh.
But it's cool. I like it. I've played it a couple times. It's fun. But Commander exists and still exists because of the people who play it. Now,
right.
It's kind of awkward because that's one of the ones that's become sanctioned. It started as an unofficial thing and then later on became an official thing. And to be honest, like, most of the problems the format has are because of decisions Wizards of the Coast makes.
That
I missed my Paradox engine already.
Yeah, but, you know, alternate formats are ultimately bettered by the community because, you know, let's take again Spring Fest and the whole 3-man thing, because it's just a really easy example. You know, if it became sanctioned with the resource sharing, you know, it'd probably be as big, if not bigger, than regionals, because I think regionals is bigger than Springfest most of the time.
I don't know. But even if it isn't, you can still have a ton of fun with that format with friends at a regional event, like we did. We
right.
don't have to have it sanctioned to play it.
But it was fun.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're thinking, I've got the greatest idea for a format, tell people about it, share it. And sometimes you'll get criticism for it because people think differently than you do, but that's okay. Maybe take some of that criticism and make your format better. You know, it's good to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you see someone out there trying to pitch a new format for Buddyfight, give it a shot. Let people know what you think of it. True story.
I mean, yeah, the worst that can happen, you don't like the format, you never have to touch it again.
Yep. I think if anyone out there wants to see more alternate formats for Buddyfight, the best thing you can do is to support the ones that do exist. You know, show them some love. Because everyone thinks they're the greatest game designer ever. And if everyone says, no, let's play my alternate format, not yours, let's play mine. And if everyone's doing that, we're never going to have any successful alternate formats.
We're never going to get that eventual Commander.
No. And maybe it's Commander itself. That's another thing. Sometimes the best alternate formats are just totally ripped off from other card games.
Yes.
That's not unreasonable. I mean, cubes are a thing that existed starting with Magic the Gathering, and I've seen cubes for every game under the sun. I've seen some really cool Vanguard cubes. I personally, Dalton and I, made a Buddyfight cube that you got to play a couple of times last regional season. Did you enjoy the cube?
Absolutely. I lost horribly, but it was awesome.
So the problem is Buddyfight's just not the greatest one for drafting because everything's so archetype restricted. And some people, I've seen other cubes that try and get around that by making every card every archetype. Nah, I like the challenge. So we borderline perfected it as good as it could get without changing the rule sets. However, currently, our cube is disassembled.
Oh, it got disassembled?
It got disassembled because we needed cards out of it.
But it was such a good cube.
Maybe we'll bring it back. Maybe we'll do a new cube. Who knows?
A new cube would be cool.
Who knows? If anyone has any ideas for like a concept to make a cube fun, let me know. Yeah. So what else would you like to say?
I mean, I'm not sure I have much at the moment unless you have another point to bring up.
Do you have any other formats you've been working on that you want to share to the world?
I have been working on a little bit of a weird one.
I like weird.
So, basically, this format of Buddyfight, it requires a chessboard.
Oh no.
Like a regulation chessboard.
Oh no, what did you do?
And so, basically, each of the pieces function as a resource gain that you can either kill off to gain resources in Buddyfight, or you can, defeat your opponent's chess pieces to gain that same resource.
Okay.
And so the idea is that you're trying to win at both Buddyfight and chess simultaneously.
All right, so you just threw out a pretty stupid format. You want one from me?
Sure.
All right. This format is called... I'm trying to think of a name that won't get this video demonetized.
Oh no, not again, Electric Boogaloo.
Screw it. This format's called Clusterfuck. Okay?
Okay.
Let me paint the picture for you. You do not have 3 monster zones. You have 9. 3 left, 3 center, and 3 right. Okay?
Okay.
Next, you have a 50-card deck, and it's singleton format, meaning you're only allowed 1 copy of each card. Following so far?
Yeah.
Next, are you ready? It's going to get
Yep.
bad. Your deck may not contain any monsters.
No monster.
No monsters. Next, at the beginning of the game, before the game starts, you place face down from outside of the game 9 monsters into your monster zones.
Okay.
See where this is going? Each player gets to
think I
attack
am.
only 1 to 2 to 3 times per turn. Okay? But for each
no.
attack, you must pay a gauge.
Okay.
Also, you have 100 life.
Oh. So Thunderdome, it's Thunderdome, but even worse.
It's terrible. Don't play that. Don't do it.
There are a million better formats you could do. Don't do it.
Yep. But if you guys have some amazing ideas for Buddyfight formats or really stupid mean formats, let us know what you guys got. What do you think?
Continue it. Yeah, continue it in the Discord. I want to see the most absurd things you all have to offer.
Is that a challenge?
That is a challenge.
All right. I'm going to make a promise for the DBR, putting words into his mouth. People send him alternate formats. You can use the TCG Buzz Discord. He's on it. You can @ him there, and he will take the most ridiculous format, and he will play it on camera.
I'm down for this.
Feed and Aqua are going to hate us, aren't they?
Oh, they absolutely will.
Perfect. So, guys, come up with the worst Buddyfight format. That's your challenge. You agree?
I agree to this. Let us do it.
Let's do it. All right, so send those to us on the TCG Buzz Discord server. That'll be really, really entertaining. Yeah, and I think we're going to start to wrap up. So the first thing I'd like to do is thank my guest for bugging me enough to the point where he was on the show.
Thank you for having me despite bugging you.
I'm just like, yes, let's do that at some point. And you're like, no, now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's great. I definitely think alternate formats are something really special. And, part of it is when they're created by fans, they're created by the people who love the card game. And they're going to do the most interesting, fun things with it.
Definitely.
So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Also,
subscribe to both channels.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. You want to tell them about your channel a little bit?
So Buddyfight Ace of Spades, we are a meme channel with a side of Buddyfight 99% of the time.
That is such a good way to put it.
We do stuff like Buddy Quest, Buddyfight on bicycles, just all kinds of random stuff between me, Aqua, and Feed. Come check it out. If you don't like anything on there, wait 15 minutes. More like 3 months. Wait 3 months, and you might like the next thing.
Yes. And then TCG Buzz, you're on our channel. You probably know what we do. But yeah, like this video. Show the Ace of Spades crew some love. And you can support us on Patreon. We got one of those. And that's all I got for you guys. So see you next time. I don't do outros. Can you tell?
Neither do I.
All right, see you.
Thanks for listening to TCG Buzz. New episodes can be found on tcgbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For box openings, deck profiles, and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.